Thanks, Donna. Thanks, everyone. So yeah, like she said, we're going to start talking about FastTrack. So if you were at the MarkLogic World last year, you've seen a lot of this, but there's some updates, some new things coming. So we'll just jump right in. Right. So in a 2024 study, Salesforce looked at the state of data and analytics, and these were some of the top challenges that existed in the space. Volume of data being overwhelming being a big one, and a difficulty in seeing what the value of your data really is due to lack of harmonization and difficulty of seeing what you've got, right? And the reason for that is that most data exploration tools only deal with the data in one aspect. So it either looks at data geospatially, so you can see heat maps, things like that, or it looks at data in terms of time, where you have your data flows, your time series data, things like that, or kind of a heat map across time, right, or geospatially. So with all that, the only real way for you to be able to see how your data is working, how your data works together, is really to look at 3 or 4 different things from 3 or 4 different tools all at once and try to piece it together in your head, right? But what we really need to do, and this is according to Gartner, is bridge that gap between analytics and context-rich analysis in order to uncover those unique insights and really get the value out of your data. And instead of using just common BI tools with your tabular data, we need to start putting together some bespoke solutions, right? Things that can work with all of your organization's data all at once, getting you some context-rich data exploration, and really help your users to make real in-time decisions, right? And BI tools in general aren't that great. They're good for historical reporting or trending, but it really only gives you your single view or single metric view of what's coming, right? So what Progress has put together is MarkLogic FastTrack. It's a React toolkit. It's not just a configuration tool or a BI tool. It's a full toolkit to build any kind of web application that you need while connecting to your MarkLogic data hub to really start to get the value of your multi-model data that MarkLogic so excels at, right? As well as in most recent times, really building an AI-driven framework that also lets you explore that data and not just get simple text-based answers. And this really lets you sharpen your organizational intelligence. You can see all your data in context. You can also start to look at and see the holes in your data. What data are you missing? What data might you need to go get from a sister organization, or find where the data exists someplace else, or maybe even open intelligence data. And it really lets you paint the direction of where you need to go or what you need to do next on the business side as well. So really enabling the business to get the answers that they need rather than just showing them pretty numbers or pretty graphs. Right? And how does that work? So how did we put this together? So essentially we set it up to really enable developers to quickly build applications either in proof of value or in production type situations to really build quickly a new React web app and make it easy to connect it to the data that you have, and allow the business users to explore their complex data, right? And then continue to be able to analyze and explain and really iterate on the data that you have and the visualizations that really help you get the value out of that data. And like I said, FastTrack, it really helps to accelerate that time to value, time to insight, and make it easier for developers, whether it be a database developer that wants to be able to quickly visualize something, like me, being able to just throw together a quick UI to visualize what you have, or give a true UI developer the ability to access the data and visualize that data quickly and easily, really as a force multiplier, being able to really accelerate that time to value, whether it's, again, a proof of value type situation or a production instance. So it really allows you to save time on your development and lets you really focus on what you need to drive the business forward instead of worrying about your tech stack, worrying about how do I make this pretty? How do I make it so business users can actually use it? That's all baked into FastTrack. And it also allows you to make customizations and really easily make it clean and usable and brandable using our built-in theme builder. So a bit of a peek under the covers. How do we do this? There's a few pieces that come with FastTrack. So we have a lot of customizable components. These are the pieces that you can put your data into, and it makes it look very nice, very easily, very quickly. Don't have to worry about which library do I use, we just handle all of that for you and get the out-of-the-box functionality to show your data. Right? This includes both graphs, maps, timelines, grids, charts, and a whole lot of other components that would be useful to show your data. And we also make it very easy. I know John yesterday was talking about the evolution of search. Faceted search is a big piece of what MarkLogic does, and so FastTrack has some built-in capability to easily show the facets that MarkLogic exposes on its search results. So giving you the ability to easily navigate that data, as well as some custom and dynamic filters, like being able to draw a polygon on a map and add that as a geospatial filter, in addition to all of your text and value-based filters. And then one of the other really nice pieces of this that really enables a user interface developer who's not necessarily a database developer to really perform well is our data access layer. So in order to connect into the MarkLogic ecosystem, we have a data access layer that just has a simple interface that lets a user interface developer, someone who doesn't have a lot of database experience, just quickly perform a search, get the results back, and toss it into all of these different components and make it work. And we also have some sample apps that get delivered with the install, so that you can see how to use it, how to put all the pieces together and make it work. A little look forward into what's coming. So we are working on a integrated development environment for FastTrack, along with an AI coding assistant to help with the component library portion. So I'm trying to do this. Which component should I use? How does it work? All those things. Don't necessarily have to go look it up on your documentation page. It can just help you write it. And in addition to that, one of the things that's coming up in the next version, hundreds of new components, specifically all of the components from Kendo UI are going to be available as part of FastTrack. So instead of just all of the data-driven components that FastTrack currently has, all of the visualization components, all of the pieces from buttons, avatars, chips, all of those different components that you could possibly use to build a modern web interface is going to be included in the FastTrack install. So giving access to lots of different ways to make a really nice, modern looking UI all in one. So again, how does this benefit the end users? And that's really what a user interface should be for, right? Benefiting the end user, getting them what they need in order to do their job better. And really it comes down to getting a single picture of everything that they need to know, all combined, all looking at connected information, right? So I kind of went over this when talking about some of the benefits, but some of the different types of components that we have that really tie into the MarkLogic data management piece, data grids with numbers, being able to look at your projected tables in a data grid view, being able to sort and filter at the UI level as well, being able to do network graph analysis. John also showed yesterday he showed the shortest path algorithm being shown. That was using the FastTrack graph user interface along with the MarkLogic 12's shortest path algorithm, as well as maps and geographical trends capabilities, being able to look at the map, look at the network connections on the graph is another interesting capability in there, and as well as being able to see things in time and how they relate to different things on that graph. Right. So when you put all this together, we have a couple of pictures. So nice, powerful search capabilities with those facets on the side, along with MarkLogic's full text search, which can be supported by semaphores, query expansion, which we've seen yesterday. Right. As well as starting to integrate some of those maps, some of those timelines, and integrating all of that with search, as well as integrating it with an AI bot. So we'll see some of this in the demo that I'm going to show towards the end. Right. And then another thing that's coming up next is another widget that helps build and share summaries, whether it's for a question or of a document that you bring back to the user interface to look at, being able to summarize that and look at each of the different sources and really start to narrow that down. Right. So there's a lot of different use cases, a lot of different verticals that this really comes into play in. Fraud and risk detection, logistics, the intelligence community, real-time and supply chain tracking, as well as law enforcement, which we'll see as part of the demo portion. Right. And really, to really summarize how this works and what the real value is, it really comes down to, it's a library of components that helps your developers do what they're already doing better, faster, and provide better value to the users that really need the data, the whole point of our business, right? So with that, I'm going to pop over to some demos. Right. So this is a demonstration that we built for a potential customer. To give a little background, there's a system that we took some data from, and they wanted to be able to see, can anybody else use this data, or is it just stuck where it is? So we pulled this data in, and we just put a simple search user interface in front of it. So you can see find the cursor, there it is. We have some pie charts, we have some facets down the side, but we're able to use some of these faceting capabilities or these graphs as facets. So if I click on here, I'm able to look at all of the different facilities. So you aren't just limited to the simple text-based checkboxes. You can use it as both a visualization of what kind of data do I have in a pie chart or a bar chart. You can also use that directly as a faceting capability. Right? We can also use our search capabilities, search for Ron. This is obviously Harry Potter themed data. When we search for, say, Ron, we can see what the different types of data that we get back are in a typical search fashion. We can look at a graph of how Ron is connected to everything else. And so we see Ron, he's connected to Molly, he's connected to, this is Arthur, his dad. But you can see that there's no connection between his dad and his mom. But one of the cool things about this interface is that there's ways to add links. So you're not just stuck with a read-only tool like you would be in a BI tool. You can actually go and make updates to the data and say that Arthur and Molly are married. So you can have that data, you can find the holes that are in your data, you can fix those holes in your data if it's possible from the user interface, and you can start to look at what's going on in your data. You can also look at the map and look at the different travel that's been done, who's coming from where. You can look at the link, say Ron travels from the Burrow to Azkaban. That's what that line is representing, and you can start to look at the details of all of that and how that works. You can also really start to put all of this together into a single interface where you can see all of these pieces together, and you can link them together to be able to see where these different things happen. Right? So you're getting all of the information together, when it happened, where it happened, who's connected to what, as well as all of your different search results, all in one place, and you're able to tie them together. So going to the next demo, this one, John showed some screenshots in the morning yesterday, but you can see that we have a case that we're working, those are the green bubbles, and as well as the dots that we have here down at the bottom. And you can see what's what as you go, but you can also perform searches. You can search for different nearby events. You can start to filter things down into zip codes or basically any facets that you've put together. And all of these different pieces, all of these different components are built with FastTrack. So all of these search results pieces, all the search box, everything on this map, everything on this timeline, it's all FastTrack, it's all quick, it's all easy. All you have to do is get the data back and stick it in. Right? And one of the things that you can also do, you can use this for a Gen AI solution. So if we take a simple question here and ask about guys in purple sweatshirts, it'll go through and does what we've been hearing about all day or all week already. It's going and performing a RAG operation, and of course, demo problems while you're live that worked an hour ago. All right, so if my connection was working properly, what you would see is that not only do you get the response that you would expect to see a text response with some cited sources like we've been talking about all week, but those cited sources would also show up on the graph, on the timeline, on the map. So all of these pieces working interconnected and able to really start to boil down into what the answer is, what you're trying to get to. So I'm going to stop it here, and if we can open it up for questions, be happy to take anything.
Is there a developer environment? Does FastTrack include its own developer environment, or do you just use VS Code or what are another?
Yeah, VS Code. So it is a React library. So you would have a normal React web app, and you would just import it just like any other library, Material UI, or any other visualization library, and you would use it as components and contexts.
Demo and just kind of show the at-a-glance stuff and kind of scan through the different visualizations that we have up there. Yeah, because it's interesting to see here how the data is plotted and being able to see this data in so many different ways.
Yeah. So were you asking for like some of the other different ways? I did kind of skip over them. But being able to look at your table visualization, being able to sort and filter based on all this different data. You have your different charts. So I know I was talking about how BI tools tend to only be able to get you one dimension of your data. But that doesn't mean those dimensions aren't useful, and we do have the ability to do a lot of the same pie charts, a lot of the same bars and graphs that BI tools can also do. But being able to add those to the all-around visualization is really where the power comes from. Was there a specific one you wanted to see?
Geospatial, please.
So there's the map. And then I did gloss over it, but we also have, never mind, we don't have integration with Esri right now. We do have the ability to integrate with Esri. I think the license key that I have has expired, though.
Thank you.
Yep. Were there other questions?
Thank you for the presentation. Very impressive demo here. I think one interesting thing I heard from people is this generative UI concept, which I think is really about let AI decide what's the right UI widget to use, and given the specific context of the conversation. So just wonder what's your thought about that, and how could maybe this this framework be used in that generative AI UI paradigm.
Yeah, I hadn't heard that. I actually really like that, but I think that's something that could, just the same way that a human developer can benefit from these components, an AI that has access to these components to be able to visualize the data that they have, I think that would be a really good crossover. So give the AI the ability to create visualizations with these components, and one makes it easier. It doesn't have to figure out how to build all of these components. It just has to figure out how to get data into it. And I think Tushar has a stronger answer to that.
Is your question more around how we can support creating AI chatbots or using AI to actually create the user interface? Right. So basically, I should figure out what is for your specific data, what is the right widget, and just use it to create that kind of visualization. Right. Right. So that's something we are looking at. It won't be out in the next release, but we understand that in general, the use case of data exploration doesn't really require complex applications. And with the advent of Gen AI and where we are proceeding, it seems like it is possible for us to enable business users to self-service by creating these applications themselves. The use case is simple. I have all this data sitting in my database, and I want to see it in a specific way. So you don't really need a developer to do that, hopefully. So that's something that we'll be looking at, and we'll probably be adding it to FastTrack after the 2.0 release.
Thank you. There. Any more? Thank you all.